Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. We are live, day 9 of the 12 days of Christmas. As you guys are watching, please say hello, drop a comment, lets me know that you are here. Got a fun topic today because I think that a lot of people assume what we're going to go over doesn't have to do with marketing, and it absolutely does have to do with marketing. So I'm excited to unpack this and two programs that, before I had spoken publicly about it, I'd never seen anybody do, quite like we have. So I'm excited to share that with you. I see you guys popping on. Please say hello. Hello, Mr. Zohar, Mr. McMoyle, Miss Palos, Miss Vanderpool. Awesome. Let's this party started. So day 9 of the 12 days of Christmas. We are sharing 12 critical marketing strategies that you can implement going into the new year. Hello, Mr. Reese. We've got Thursday and Friday of this week, and then we'll be wrapping up on Monday of next week. All of the recordings are labeled with the day in this Facebook group, but you can also access it on our YouTube channel, Grow Pro Agency. We have a playlist that specifically says the 12 days of Christmas. So if you want to catch up, you can do that. They're short 30-minute trainings, and you can put it on 1.5 speed. And watch it a little bit quicker. So we've laid the marketing foundation. We talked about building a strong brand, social media strategies like organic strategies that are working right now. Went into the email and text message world, which in my opinion, one of the most powerful because it's the only one that you own. You actually own your contact list. Talked about optimizing your Google business profile and how you can rank higher on Google. This is so important right now, especially going into the new year as people are going to be actively looking, especially adults, for new fitness routines. I gave you my 9 steps to creating a content factory, and this was all about creating reels, how to come up with the topics, how to film it, and how to edit it. This week on Monday, we went over paid ads, TikTok ads, Google ads, and Facebook ads, the 3 ad platforms I think you should be investing your money in. Yesterday was all about numbers. Math is the path. And we talked about the 6 numbers you absolutely should be tracking. Okay. And for some people, they're not tracking all of them. And then today, it's all about how to build bonds and retain our students. And, again, I think people like marketing and retention. Marketing is, you're not just supposed to be marketing to get students. You're supposed to be marketing to keep your students and ensure that they come back. Okay. As always, take notes, participate, ask questions. I've got the Facebook Live over here on another screen so I can see the comments coming in. Good morning, Miss Herbert. Nice to see you. I'm also sharing just some silly fun facts, a new fact about me each time. My absolute favorite sandwich, and don't knock it until you've tried it, is a peanut butter and scrambled egg sandwich. Don't knock it until you try it. I know it sounds weird. It's actually super healthy, lots of protein, good fats. And it is my absolute favorite breakfast sandwich, which is just kind of silly, but it is delicious. Action item from yesterday. I wanted you to calculate your average cost per lead, look at what your lifetime value is, and also see how much you are acquiring new students for, which is calculating your CAC, your cost of acquisition. I gave you this attrition formula spreadsheet that you can do, year to date, or if you want to wait till the end of the year to figure out what your attrition rate is. If we can improve that attrition rate just by 1%, going from 5 to 4 or 4 to 3, you will literally be bringing in tens of thousands of dollars. So super important number that you are keeping track of on a monthly basis, okay? So let's talk a little bit about building bonds and retaining students. So here are some throwbacks for you. This was my very first graduation ceremony, going from white belt to yellow belt. I trained at a Junery Institute of Taekwondo here in Tampa, Florida, ran by Bill Heimberger. This was me going from green belt to purple belt. This was a seminar that I did with John Chung. This was my black belt graduation, and then my instructor photo when I became an instructor. And when I look back, hindsight's 2020, but My family and I were really the ideal martial arts family. We came in, did a free intro. My parents like saving money, so they piffed every single program. They piffed the basic program. My mom is a little bit of a pack rat. She literally still has the receipt from when she paid in full for my programs. I never missed a class. I never took a break. I participated in every single event, whether it was an intramural, like in-house tournament, whether it was seminars, whether it was the Karate Kid Camp Out, which was a sleepover that they did. We also did the canoe escape every year where we went in canoes down the Hillsborough River. I upgraded to the Black Belt Club, then to the Masters Club, and then I eventually became an assistant instructor and then ultimately a head instructor. I was actually the very first female in the history of the school. They had been open for 30 years, and I was the very first female instructor. And when I look back, I was the ideal student. And the reason why that happened, where I never missed a class, I never took a break, I always went to the events, we upgraded, was because they did such a great job of building bonds with their students. And this was a family-owned academy. The wife was the program director, the husband was the master instructor. And they just did such a great job of building bonds with the students, but also giving the students an opportunity to build bonds with each other. Okay. These were all kids. His name was Colton. He actually lived in my neighborhood. We ended up becoming really great friends. This was David, this little guy with Sammy. This guy over here is Richie. Like, I still remember their names. And this is 30 years later. That's how well this school facilitated the bonds that occurred underneath the roof of their school. Are they still in business? They actually ended up selling the school to Mr. Ryan Cook over here. They had 3 locations. They sold their main location, and they are still open to date. One of the schools ended up shutting down, but the other one is still open. And I'm going to bring Cris there one day when he's ready to do that, because I want him to learn Taekwondo on top of learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So yes, they sold one of the schools. One of them they shut down, and they still have the school. I believe they opened back in 1976 is when they opened. When I think back of the things that they did really well, the principles that we all need to consider in terms of building bonds and retaining students is, number one, we have to have a welcoming, inclusive environment. And this is something that, back in my original Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu days, that the BJJ schools were just awful at. It was not inclusive. It was basically, on your first week, we're going to beat the crap out of you. And if you keep coming back, then we'll welcome you. Fortunately, the BJJ community has gotten better at this, but you have to build a sense of belonging. And, growing up, I was a tomboy. I got bullied for it. And my martial arts school was the one place where I had a sense of belonging. Okay. The other thing we have to remember is that it goes beyond the mat. I mean, they wouldn't be in business for as long as they have been if what is happening on the mat. I mean, we didn't even have mats back then. It was carpet, right? If you look, I was training on carpet, which I'm sure many of you remember doing. But what was happening on the carpet and on the mat was top notch. Okay. It was top notch training. They eventually actually started teaching us Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as it became more popular in the mid to late 90s, which was super cool. But they also facilitated the relationships beyond the mat and beyond the carpet. And you really need to look at, are you doing that? And if you are, how consistently are you doing that on a month-to-month basis? They also had really great, effective communication. Back in the 90s, you didn't have to worry about posting in Facebook groups and doing push notifications. I mean, we didn't even have texting back then, but they did a really, really great job with, just print marketing in general and the effective communication. They were the type of owners that if the parent was outside in the parking lot, they would, put their shoes on and go out and talk to them if the parent didn't come inside. They had just really effective communication. And, it's something that I think can often get overlooked, but is every single one of your students getting greeted by name when they walk through your door? Like, if Mose can do it, we can do it as well. We have to have effective communication because that is the basis of relationship. And at the end of the day, business is all about relationships. Okay. You also need to make sure, and I think the traditional martial arts world has this on lock, but some of the, BJJ schools don't do a great job of progress and recognition. I mean, when I first took over my BJJ instructor's kids program, he had 4 kids and there were 4 belt levels at the time. That's it. White, yellow, orange, and green. That was it. And you can't go to the adults until you're 16, can't get a black belt until you're 18. And I'm looking at these 4 belts and I'm like, okay, I can promote this 5-year-old like every 3 years. So because of that, I created my own belt ranking system. Figured, well, somebody created that one. Why can't I create my own? So you've got to make sure that, progress and recognition occur through stripes and belts, through leadership programs. And again, I think the traditional martial arts market, has this pretty on lock, but, the BJJ market, especially for the kids program, could definitely do better. And then finally, you have to be willing to have conflict resolution. Okay. We've all heard the saying that, cancer spreads. And I think some of the schools that have really done a great job of building these bonds and retaining students are able to handle difficult conversations that sometimes need to happen. And this was something that our instructor, Mr. Ryan Cook at my Taekwondo school, had to do. With bullying occurring in programs, and sitting down with the parents and sitting down with the kids, and they resolved those conflicts. And unfortunately, it sometimes requires those hard conversations. But I think the best schools do make it a point to try to resolve conflict that is occurring underneath their roof so it doesn't spread, so everybody feels included, everybody feels welcoming. And as you scale and as you grow, there are going to be certain families that just aren't a good cultural fit. And the best schools are able to have that conversation and, cut ties when needed. So those are just kind of 5 principles of what I believe like a community champion, somebody that is doing a great job, a school that's doing a great job of building bonds and retaining students does. So I want to talk about retention events, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because I think you can go in any of the Facebook groups and just search retention events and you're going to see a ton of them. I think where a lot of schools need to do a better job is just the consistency of them. So when you are planning, and our very last session on Monday is going to be all about planning for 2024, you've got to make sure every single month that you have a retention event of some sort, whether that's a parent night out, whether that's a member appreciation, whether you're doing some form of a challenge. Like in January, we do a speed challenge to get the kids really excited about coming back after the break. Whether you're doing spirit weeks, or in the summer, you're doing ice cream days, or you're hosting holiday parties like Easter egg hunts, or, trunk or treats, or Christmas parties, holiday parties. You have to make sure that you are doing this every single month. And that's what ESM stands for. And I think that, sometimes we'll look at the calendar and, we'll take our own personal, life and like, oh, February, that's really heavy for me. So I'm just going to skip. Every single month, I want you to make sure going into 2024 that you have a retention event, you also have a recruiting event, and you have some form of event or promotion that brings in revenue. Okay. Now, we have 2 things that we have done at my school that I think are pretty unique. And the first one is we launched a mentorship program called Thrive. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I was removing myself from being the main instructor teaching 6 days a week, 4 to 5 to 6 classes in a row. And I wanted to still be able to have that connection with my students, but I also did not want to teach private lessons. So I was at this kind of transitionary period where I still wanted to be involved. I still wanted to make an impact with the students and working with them directly, but I didn't want to be on the schedule every day, and I didn't want to teach private lessons. So I came up with this idea called the Thrive Mentorship Program, and I basically created a 4-week program where we met on Saturdays for an hour and a half. It was for children that were ages 8 and above, so there was an age limit on it just due to what we were teaching. And I created a program that I felt like this is the stuff that school should be teaching our students, that we allude to in our mat chats and when we're having conversations, but there wasn't really an opportunity to take a deep dive into these topics. And it was really a personal development mentorship program where we were reading books together. So we chose the diary of the playoff of Jocko Willink's book. That's a playoff of the diary of a wimpy kid. And we read that together. They had homework assignments. So we talked about developing reading habits. We talked about budgeting. So how do you actually budget? We created vision boards together. And we even touched on the importance of nutrition. So it was like a 45-minute in class, like in a classroom setting presentation that had like a keynote that I walked through. And then there was 45 minutes of physical training as well, because we are a martial arts school. And we sold this. It was a higher ticket program. When we initially launched, I think we charged $299, so $300 for the 4 weeks, held it on Saturdays after class for an hour and a half. And I ran this program a few times through, and I got so much positive feedback. I had parents saying, like, can you make this for us? So I want you to think about, is there a program that you can put together that, one, would absolutely help with retention, two, you could charge for it so that, you can, increase your revenue, and is there something that you could put together, whether it's a 4-week course, a 6-week course, an 8-week course? And if you don't want it for it, is this something you could work into your leadership training? So this is something we've done for years. It was my way of still staying connected with the students. And it is great for retention. It's great for them building their bonds. They're surrounded by other kids that are on the same positive pathway with each other. So we called it the Thrive Mentorship Program. You could call it whatever you want, but it checks off the retention. It checks off the, revenue, and you're making a bigger impact on your community, teaching these kids things that really our school system should be sharing with them. So that is one thing I wanted to share, just kind of some out-of-the-box thinking of programs that you can offer. The other thing that we developed was a brand ambassador program. And we have this graphic right above our water fountain in our main hallway at the school. And basically it says, do you love Gracie Pack and you want to help us out? If they do these things, they check in on social media, they leave a Google review, they leave a Facebook recommendation, and they refer a friend. If they do all 4 of those items, then they can become a Gracie Pack ambassador. And what we do is we have this special shirt that we keep in our pro shop that says brand ambassador on the front. It's a light gray shirt that has this logo right here, brand ambassador. And then it's got our regular circular logo on the back. And we purposefully put it in the pro shop. And oftentimes we'll have parents come up to us and say, hey, I'd like to buy that shirt. And it opens up the conversation of saying, well, actually, the shirt is free. Do you want me to tell you how you can earn it? And then we can talk about becoming a brand ambassador. So again, more ways to build bonds. We know that if our students are training with their friends that they're bringing in from their outside life into our community, they're going to stick around longer. They're going to have, better retention, a higher lifetime value. And this brand ambassador program is something we launched many, many years ago, probably back in like 2015, 2016, to try and get people online, making those reviews and recommendations, checking in so their friends see that they're, where they're at. And then also a way to refer a friend. And the idea really stemmed from my Taekwondo school. When they were celebrating their 30th anniversary, they made this 30th anniversary t-shirt, and it was so cool. The body of the shirt was white. One of the sleeves had like stars. The other one had stripes, so it kind of looked like an American flag, but you couldn't buy the shirt. The only way you could get the shirt was if you referred someone. That was it. Like people, I remember that I hadn't referred a friend, and I, had every single t-shirt that our school ever put out. And I was like, I was so bummed that I couldn't get that t-shirt. And then finally, when I became an instructor, they let me have one. But that's kind of where that idea of the ambassador program comes from. Okay. The last thing I want to touch on, because I think schools say that they have a referral program, but if you ask their student base, they're kind of aloof to it. And you have a referral program that should just be kind of like your bread and butter. We use a prize wheel that is front and center in between the lobby and the mat. It's right where we do our mat chats. And if somebody refers and their friend signs up, we bring them up, we have them spin the wheel, and there are things such as cash, Amazon gift cards, and pro shop cards that they can win. And that is something you should consistently have, is this, referral program. But you also need to consider going into 2024 when you're making your marketing calendar, when can you host referral contests? And referral contests are different than your referral program. And if you look back on 2023 and 2022, I would look at the months where your recruiting was maybe a little bit slower than normal, for whatever reason, and try to pair a referral contest on the marketing calendar with those slower recruiting months and build in a buddy week for this. And what we do is we just do a ticketing system. So if you bring a friend to the buddy class, you're going to get a ticket. If they buy a trial, you get X amount of tickets. If they become a member, you get to do the ticket tornado. And then at the end of the 6 weeks or 4 weeks or 8 weeks or however long you want to, push that referral contest, I wouldn't go too long because then it's going to lose its, like zest and energy. We will pull a ticket and we will give away an item. We've given away TVs, we've given away iPads, we've given away Nintendo DSs, we've given away cash money, $500 cash money. So this is one of the things that I want you to consider when you are looking at your calendar for 2024 is, yes, you should absolutely have just a base referral program, but when can you host these contests where you are potentially maybe having lighter recruitment months to help boost that? Okay, so your action item is more of a brainstorm. And I'd love for you to brainstorm either what would an ambassador program look like in your school? And if you want to R&D, rob and deploy mine, you're welcome to do so. Or a mentorship program. And is that something that you can launch in 2024? Whether it's, hey, we want to go more of the route of the ambassador, or maybe you want to go more of the route of the mentorship. Both of them are incredibly impactful. And if you're already doing one, then maybe consider doing the next, okay? I have a gift for you guys today from our friends over at Maya Edge. With the colder weather, as you can see, I'm in a hoodie. To me, the 60s are cold. I probably will even wear a hoodie in the 70s, to be honest with you. But with, a lot of you more northern states and even us in Florida, the kids don't really get to enjoy the snow. I have this graphic for a snowed in parent night out event so that you can basically type in the time and the date. This is completely editable. It's made in Canva. And if you click on that link, that'll pull that into your Canva account and you can edit this. And now you have, everything you would need to have a successful, or at least get the digital asset out to have a successful parent night out as you are planning for your retention events in January. Okay. Tomorrow, we are talking about partnerships. This is really where we are going to be hitting the ground running with grassroots marketing. And we're going to talk about 3 partnerships that I believe are the most powerful partnerships that you can build, that you can invest your time, you can invest your energy in for school growth. I've said this multiple times on these trainings over the last, week and a half, that everything in our business, we have to determine, do I want to invest my time or do I want to invest my energy? My money, right? So I can either invest my time and my energy or I can invest my money. These partnerships, these powerful partnerships are really an investment of your time and energy, but they have what I would consider the biggest payoffs. But it's kind of like running a marathon and not just running a sprint, okay? If you have any questions at all, please feel free, drop them in the comments. If you're watching the replay, drop them in the comments. I will get back to you. We'll be back here tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I've really been enjoying my time with you guys and doing this. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback, which I always appreciate. And any questions, just feel free to reach out. And as always, if you need help with your digital marketing, please just check out growproagency.com. We'd love to help get your ads up and running for the New Year's rush. 3 times you got to go pedal to the metal with your marketing. Going into summer, coming out of summer, going into the new year. That's where we're at right now. We're headed into the new year. Hope everybody has a phenomenal rest of your Wednesday. See you tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. And then right afterwards, I'm doing a webinar with Mike Metzger, Steven Reinstein, and Tulay. We're doing a 2-hour webinar. I'm so excited that you're going to get to hear from all of us. So maybe you can spend, part of the day with me with day number 10 of the 12 Days of Christmas and then the webinar. Talk to you guys soon. Make it a great one. Bye-bye.